Namaskar, all of you. Welcome to new session and second session on Japa. Because many inquiries were coming to me, many of them wanted much more delineation on this Japa aspect, and therefore we are commencing the second session on Japa. So in the last session, we were dealing with various kinds of japas. We saw some of the kinds of japas such as Nitya, Naimitika, Kamya, Prayashchitta, etc. And with regards to instruments of japa, also we saw that there are vachika japas, upanshu japas, manasika japas, dhyanaja japas, pranika japas, etc. So, I want to bring to your notice a good observation, wonderful observation, which you also can carry out. Because still there can be little lack of clarity with regards to upanshu and manasika japa and vachika japa. Madhyama with madhyama. See, if you try to have japa carried out mentally, for instance, let us take the japa of Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram. Now, if you are going to do it mentally, see that it won't be by madhyama. Because in mentally, the japa can be taking place, and usually it takes place at a significant pace. The pace is as much as Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram, Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram, Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram, Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram. Now this is by vaikhari, which I now produced. Now it's the same, at same pace if you do this japa by mouth shut, by mouth closed, and by not using the oratory organ, then at this pace, see how the japa is done. This japa, you will see that it is vibrating the throat region. It is vibrating the throat region. When you are doing mental japa of Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram, and the mind has enormous velocity. Mind has greater velocity than even light. So the mind usually has a high velocity. So this japa when you do in mind, silently and in mind, within mind, at a pace such as which I just now illustrated, Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram, Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram, Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram, Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram. That is without using the mouth and lips, which I did now for you to have audition of it. So shut the mouth and do it at this pace. Then it is mental manasika japa. And same japa, you pull down the velocity significantly, then it becomes of madhyama. So it is madhyama and mind. Madhyama japa and manasika japa, there is a thin line. And one of the factors to draw a line is to work on its pace. Now the same silent japa, do it at a pace such as Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram, Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram, Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram, Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram. So when you decelerate the pace, it will become madhyama. It won't be in the mind. It will be madhyama. So that is another way to understand the difference between the japa done mentally and japa done in madhyama. So in madhyama, you will see that greater parts of the body are involved. Unlike in manasika japa with high pace, silently uttering the japa in a higher pace, only throat part is used. But now when you are doing slowly, then find out greater parts of the body beyond the throat will be used. Moreover, use the madhyama in your length of your inhalation and in your length of exhalation, which should be slow. So as you have an idea of taking a slow and deep breath and making a slow and deep exhalation, in that inhalative movement, utter that japa, then it will become madhyama, and you will see that how physiology of the human system is involved. And that's why madhyama is for entire and whole embodiment. The madhyama is for a part beyond the throat, where you have the oratory organ. So in manasika japa, the throat will be only involved because of the pace. When you just bring that pace down significantly, then you will see how it works. So this you can experiment yourself and experience yourself. And then when you do it along with your inhalation, which is a deeper and slower inhalation, or deeper and slower exhalation, along with inhalation, along with exhalation, the japa will be madhyama, not mind. And then if you further use the japa slower to use both inhalative and exhalative movement, by further slowing it down, it will be of madhyama. So this you can experiment and experience to have better clarity between manasika japa and madhyama vachika japa. Madhyama vachika japa. So it will be fascinating for you to discover how madhyama japa can be done with reference to a part of the body such as waist, such as abdomen, such as diaphragm, such as chest, such as back, such as brain, while the manasika japa will not be working that way because of the pace. So the pace is a factor, because when the pace is high, the mind will say it, but when the pace is low, madhyama will say it, vacha will say it. So that's the way that you can crystallize the difference between manasika japa and vachika japa. Then, with regards to japa, what we are going to have an overview is what is japa, basically, then japa sadhana, and then japa yoga, and even japa yagna. So, yes, during the last talk, I had referred to Japa Yagna because Bhagwad Gita clearly said that amongst yagnas, Japa Yagna is the supreme. I am the Japa Yagna amongst all yagnas. So that's how it was yogalized and praised and held in high esteem. So Japa can be a yagna, Japa can be sadhana, Japa can be yoga, Japa can be upasana, Japa can be exercise. So we must understand the concept of japa in perspective here. So that's why I am articulating as japa, japa sadhana, japa vyayam, japa karma, which is a kind of just ritual, which might be ritual in kind of prescribed form or unprescribed form. Like Nitya Japa that we discussed during the last session, or the Chala Japa. It can be our ritual. It is not according to any injunction. So while walking, we can be doing japa. While carrying out our business or activity of life, we can be doing a japa. So it is our ritual. It is not ritual in the sense that there is a prescribed form of ritual. Because in Vedism and even what we see in Hinduism, that there are rituals. It's a ritualistic religion, is what is opinion of the world, the whole world. So there is prescribed form for that. So the japa can come in a prescribed form when it becomes japa sadhana, and japa it becomes upasana as well. It becomes upasana as well, because the devatas are worshipped, or their upasana is carried out by various forms. One of them is japa. So japa can come as devata upasana. Japa can come as manasik vyayam. Japa can come as vachik vyayam. So to discipline the mind, psyche, consciousness, japa can come. And then there is japa yoga, which we'll be seeing, and then japa yagna. Now when Lord Krishna says that amongst various forms of yagnas, which are sacrificial rituals, there is one called Japa Yagna. Now in Japa Yagna, you have to see the adhyatma in it. Because in all other yagnas, you have an altar, you have the components of yagna. Like in little insight into Mimamsa, or the yagna itself, very concept of yagna. There is hota, there is udgata, there is yajman, and there are components. Like you know that there are 3-4 priests sitting around the altar, and then they are doing yagna. So there are components to yagna. Means there is the sacrificial fire, sacrificial objects which are offered into the sacrificial fire. So that's how the yagna is. So try to visualize a yagna. So there are mantras, then there are processes of offering of various swadha, aushadhi, etc. The sacrificial objects which are offered into sacrificial fire. And that's how yagna takes place. Yagna samstha, if you try to crystallize, then you will know what is yagna. So our idea of yagna means there will be a priest, or there will be some priests, 1 or 3, 4 priests sitting around the altar, and then offering various things while mantras are being chanted, devatas are being praised, hymns of devatas are being chanted, and then offerings are made. That's how yagna is. Yagna samstha is like that. What are the components of yagna samstha? Bhagwad Gita describes it. In one of the verses of Bhagwad Gita, Bhagwan Krishna says that swadha, aushadhi, the various components of yagna are all me. Ijya, mantra, swadha, aushadhi, the mantra, devata, the fire, very altar. So these are various components which he has mentioned. And those components Bhagwan Krishna lists in his verse, which comes in Bhagwad Gita. Uh, the verse is aham kratur, aham yagna, swada aham, aham aushadham, mantro aham, evajya aham, aham agni, aham hutam. So those are the components of yagna. And he says, I am all that. So there he lists the components of factors of yagna. And all these components are there in an adhyatmic yagna, which is Japa yagna. So for Japa yagna, you don't have to have altar, fire, offerings, etc. It is all within oneself. Say for instance, when the Japa is done inhalatively, what is inhalative act according to Bhagwad Gita? Apana is offered into prana is inhalation. Prana is when offered into apana, it is exhalation. Apana is from lower part of the body. So watch your inhalation. When the inhalation is being taken, then it is apana of the lower part offered into prana of the chest part. And when it is exhalation, the prana of the chest part is offered into apana of the belly part. So apane yujyati pranam pranam pane tatha pare is the verse in Bhagwad Gita. So very breath itself is an act. And in Japa Yagna, which is Adhyatmik Yagna, it is done within oneself. So the fire is within. As just now I listed the components of Bhagwad Gita. The kratu, the performer. Aham kratur aham yagna, the very sacrificial fire. Swadha, aushadhi, ijya, all these aspects which are offered, the mantra, etc., with which they are offered, the very nama or very mantra itself is there in a japa. You cannot have any japa without a mantra. You cannot have japa without any nama. So either there is nama or there is mantra, and the nama itself is a mantra. Bhagwan Nam itself is a mantra. So all those components are subjectively and intrinsically, inherently within oneself. So it's a very integral process. Japa Yagna is very integral process. All the components of Yagna are within. So that is how Japa Yagna is. So Japa Yagna is Adhyatmik Sadhana. In other Yagnas, you have Adidaivik process. In Japa Yagna, everything is Adhyatmik, everything is done within. The offerer is within. Offered is also of oneself. The offerings are by oneself. Offerings are of and with regards to oneself. So in Japa Yagna, what is sacrificed is the Papa Rashi, the heap of vices. What is offered is Shadripus. Kama Krodhadis are offered in Japa Yagna. Like otherwise, herbs are offered, various things are offered in sacrifices, sacrificial fire. The rice is offered, the cereals are offered, herbs are offered, the samhitas are offered. So you know what is offered in sacrificial fire. Now all that is offered is with regards to oneself. Kama, Krodha, Lobha, Moha, Mada, Matsarya, and any kind of defect that human mind has. And that's how human mind is purified by Yagna, because you have offered all those vicious things of your mind, psyche, consciousness into the sacrificial fire which is within yourself. So that is the Japa Yagna concept. Therefore, it is supreme kind of Yagna. You are offering your own vasanas, you are offering your own kleshas, karmas, vasanas, shadripus, defects, pride, arrogance, etc., etc., passion, lust, greed, etc. So they are all offered into that sacrificial fire within. So that is how Japa Yagna is. Now you can understand why Japa Yagna is supreme. It doesn't require anything from the external realm. You don't require to do anything from outside you. It is all from within yourself. All components which I just now listed from verse of Bhagwad Gita, you can look into that verse and you will know. And even you can imagine what is done in Yagna. You require ghee, you require clarified butter, you require samidas, you require some herbs, you require some preparations, kitchen preparations which are prepared and then they are offered. So that is how the Yagna takes place. That means something outside you is being offered. And here in Japa Yagna, something within you is being offered to purify yourself, to sanctify yourself, to consecrate yourself. That is why Bhagwad Gita declares, or Lord Krishna declares, that he is Japa Yagna amongst all Yagnas. That is supreme most form of Yagna. So you should have some idea of Yagna and Yajna, Yagna Yaga. So there are so many yagas, yagnas. Well, in mythology you come across Ashwamedha Yagna, Vajpayee Yagna. So these are all yagnas which have come in Yagna Samstha of Vedas. But in Adhyatmic part of Vedas, there is Japa Yagna. And that is why that is supreme most form of Yagna. You don't have to depend upon anyone. You don't need a priest. You do not need any objects from outside. It is all within. And that's why it is supreme most form of Japa Yagna. So understand, Japa can be a Yagna by itself. I want you to imagine if Japa is a Yagna by itself, then how that might be. So I want to trigger your thought process with regards to this. So Japa can be Yagna. Japa can be Yagna Yaga. And it is all within. The fire is within. Unto whom it is offered is within. What is offered is from within. The process of offering is from within. The objects of offerings are from within. So everything is from within. So that is Japa Yagna. It won't be exaggeration to say that Bhagwad Gita for the first time has described or just mentioned the concept of Japa Yagna. Anyway, so we saw that there can be Upasana. See, there are Upasakas of various deities, various devatas. There are Shivopasakas, Vishnupasakas, Shakti Upasakas, Dattopasakas, Ganeshopasakas, Suryopasakas. So various deities are also subject of Upasana. And therefore, their Japa is done in that ritualistic karma. And then that's how the Yagna is. In Upasana. Now in Upasana this can be done within. See, if it is Rudrabhisheka, then of course then you know there is an altar, there is fire, there are offerings, and then with the Rudra, the Nama of Rudra Devata, or with very Rudra itself, the Namakam Chamakam aspect, then there are offerings made. So When it is upasana, it is done mentally. So it's all internal yagna, and that is japa yagna. So there can be shivopasana as an internal yagna. There can be dattopasana as an internal yagna. There can be Vishnu upasana with internal yagna. The Shakti upasana with internal yagna. Any personal deity, there can be upasana which is done within. And that upasana within itself is a yagna, and it is done with a japa. It is not bereft of japa. It's not just mental kind of yagna. But there is japa involved, there is breath involved, there is mind involved, there is speech involved, there is body involved, entire embodiment involved. All the psychic matters are involved. And that's how japa yagna is the greatest form of yagna amongst all the various yagnas. Then you are aware of the concept of pancha yagna, which we considered during one of the previous sessions. Brahma yagna, Deva yagna, Brahma yagna, Pitru yagna, Pashu yagna, Manava yagna. So in the concept of pancha yagna was considered earlier. So they are all yagnas. Now, in those yagnas, in Brahma yagna, etc., you can understand both aspects. One is really having an altar and having a very prescribed form of yagna, or it can be mental. Pitru yagna, then in Shraddha karma there is a fire and offerings are made into fire during the very Shraddha, which is a Pitru karma. And there can be the other modes of which are circumscribed in Pitru Yagna. Right from keeping some cereals for birds, etc., or the pinda dana, etc. So there are so many forms of Pitru Yagna. So Pancha Yagnas, the Yagna comes there. So amongst all those yagnas, those 5 yagnas which are part of Vedic life, Vedic lifestyle, Vedic conduct of life, Pancha yagnas must be there for a Vedika. And therefore, those are yagnas. Then apart from that, we have Naimittik yagnas taking place. Ganesha Jayanti, Ganesha Yag, Datta Jayanti, Datta Yag, etc., etc. Or Kamya Yagnas are there. There are some rituals which are Kamya Yagna. Pitru Kameshti in Ramayana was a Kamya Yagna. Dasharatha performed Pitru Kameshti, and therefore he had the offsprings, which came as a grace of Agni Devata. So there are so many forms of yagnas. And amongst all those yagnas, Japa yagna is supreme. So Japa can also be a yagna. So a little bit introductory information was intended, and therefore I did that. Then Japa sadhana. In Adhyatma sadhana, for sthula sukshma karana sharira, there is Japa sadhana. As a part of Adhyatmic sadhana, then you have Japa there. Like in the previous session I said, our yoga commences with putting on with usually yoga in our times. That means you must have some sportswear on your body. You must put on sportswear. Then you must have some kind of sticky mat or some carpet spread on the floor. And then you do something. You call it as yoga sadhana. Similarly, in some yoga, there is japa is the sadhana. The whole yoga is by japa. Japa is a major component centric component of some yogs. Then, if you recall, last time I said, in any yoga, amongst countless forms of yoga which I repeatedly listed. And then today you can see there are so many brands of yoga in the world available. So there are so many brands of yoga. In all those brands of yoga, whichever is form of yoga, even if there is a very naive classification of physical yoga, intellectual yoga, mental yoga, etc. In any classification in yoga, the japa will definitely come in at some hierarchy, which is definitely a little higher hierarchy. So once you graduate in your any brand of yoga, any form of yoga, because textually you only have many forms of yoga. Today you have many brands of yoga, many schools of yoga. In any school, at a little higher level of your fellowship, japa will invariably be there. There is no yoga without japa. So at a particular hierarchy, it is going to be a very major component. It is definitely going to be there. So incidentally, let me tell you about Patanjali also tells us about japas of 3 hierarchies. Patanjali mentions swadhyaya. So in the first chapter, Tat Japa Sadartha Bhavanam for Pranava is Swadhyaya. Well, that is supreme hierarchy, where Swadhyaya has come. Because one of the meaning of Swadhyaya is Pranava Adi Pavitra Mantra Japaha. The Pavitra mantras such as Om, the japa of those is called Swadhyaya. So in Samadhi Pada, he mentions one kind of Swadhyaya. After mentioning Pranava, Ishvara Pranidhanam, then Pranava as a nomenclature of divinity, then Tajjapas Tadartha Bhavanam. So that is supreme form of Swadhyaya. Then there is a mediocre form of Swadhyaya which has come in Kriya Yoga. Tapaswadhyayeshwara parinidhanane Kriya Yoga. So again the meaning of Swadhyaya given by Vyasa is Pranavadi Pavitrana Mantro Japaha. So that is a middle hierarchy. So again mantra japa comes there. And then in Ashtanga Yoga you get niyamas, and in niyamas you get Swadhyaya, and again there Swadhyaya is again same. So that's the lowest hierarchy in Patanjali's scheme of things. Niyama, you get lowest level of japa. Then in Kriya Yoga, you get a middle kind of caliber. And in the Samadhi Pada, you get supreme caliber. So everywhere it is Pranava Japa or any Pavitra Mantra Japa. That is Swadhyaya. Now it is to be understood how Mantra Japa comes in self-realization. So that's a separate topic which needs to be construed as to how Swadhyaya, Pavitra Mantra Japas is Adhyatmic Sadhana. How it is directed towards or directing us towards self-realization. So japa is such an important aspect, inevitable aspect, indispensable aspect in self-search. There is no self-search without japa. Understand this. It cannot be just a cerebral process of thought process, etc., and then little transcendent thought process, etc. The japa has to come. Anyway, so japa sadhana, japa upasana, then japa yoga. The nama can become nama yoga when it's all aspects are unified. And when there is transformation, which is sought in spiritual process. So when you get the transformation in you for a spiritual process, then that is yoga, culminating transformation in anything. Therefore, there is karma yoga, jnana yoga, bhakti yoga, dhyana yoga, nama yoga, nada yoga. So everywhere culminative condition comes, which is transformation, culminative transformation, then it becomes yoga. Therefore, there is Japa yoga as well. The pranava Japa can take you towards self-realization, which is again a theorem given by Patanjali. In the topic of pranava itself, in the Samadhi Pada, he says, by the Ishwar Pranidhana, you will get God realization or self-realization or antaraya bhava. Somewhere in the 29th sutra of the first chapter, he mentions antarayas. So antaraya bhavascha. If God realization doesn't take place, maybe self-realization will take place, or adhyatmic realization will take place, or even if that is not taking place, at least antarayas will be mitigated, or there will be absence of antarayas. So the pranava can be playing roles on countless levels. Countless levels are there. And there comes the japa. So understand, in Patanjali's scheme of yoga, we are not aware of it, many of us, because of our brand, because of our school, etc., because of the indoctrinations of our schools. We don't tend to give importance to japa. But at a hierarchy, it is certainly going to come. So anyway, that's the aspect of japa yoga. Japa sadhana is an exercise for your mind, to discipline your mind, to discipline your body, to discipline your breath, to discipline yourself. You will be doing japa. So then it becomes japa sadhana. It is sadhana of the sthula sharira, sadhana of the sukshma sharira, sadhana of the karana sharira, and very prominently sadhana of the sukshma sharira. The japa will work as everything for what subtle body needs. And if you recall, at some stage I said, all that gross body needs, subtle body too needs. The gross body needs, we have to do so many things. We have to exercise, we have to take bath, we have to go for so many processes, etc. for gross body. From exercise to rest, from respite to exercising, we have to do so many things for gross body. Giving medicine to gross body, sometimes it gets indisposed, so medicine has to be administered. So all those things which the gross body needs, subtle body too needs. The gross body needs so many things in so many channels. Subtle body is given by only one channel, by one mode, that is japa. Anyway, that's part of japa rahasya, which we will be touching at a later stage. So, it won't be exaggeration to say that japa is like kalpa vruksha. You might recall, with your family background, we were told, all of us were told when we were children, if you are afraid, go on uttering Ram, 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 Ram. And then you will be through. So, then japa comes for you to attain something. You are not getting it, do japa of it. So it's almost like a kalpa vruksha. It can fulfill so many desires of ours. So it is desire fulfilling japa. Now many people do the japa of their Ishta Devata for what? For material glory. I am not getting job, let me get a job, personal deity worship, and then personal deity japa. I have insufficient money, personal deity worshipped, personal deity japa carried out. So for so many material things, the japa will be done and is being done and can be done. It is definitely a kalpa vruksha. Desire fulfilling. We have various kinds of desires. I want good health, japa. Apart from other things for good health that we do, take care of our food, our diet habits, then exercises, there is also japa coming in there. Ishta Devata japa that will give you health by sankalpa for health, sankalpa for dhanadhanya samruddhi, sankalpa for arogya, ayur arogya. There will be japa. So that's why it is kalpa vruksha. From mundanity to spirituality, japa comes in multitudinal forms. And therefore, japa comes in sadhana, japa comes in upasana as well. Therefore, japas have countless forms, although few of them we listed last time. They come in countless forms because japa is done for various purposes, from corporeal purpose to physical purpose to mundane purpose to business of life purpose to spiritual purpose, to win the grace of deity, to win the grace of God. So it's so many things the japas are coming, and therefore japa has countless forms, really countless forms. Again, for one purpose, there's japa comes in different ways, in different hierarchies. Somebody in a lower hierarchy having a desire, somebody having same desire on a middle hierarchy, somebody having same desire on higher hierarchy, the japa will be changing in its modes and forms and functions. So therefore, last time, as I said, it's quite a prismatic concept. Japa is a prismatic concept. Like you and me will be doing japa as part of Ashtanga sadhana, Ashtanga yoga sadhana. If we really scrupulously adhere to Ashtanga yoga sadhana, somewhere japa will come. Then how the japa will come for an accomplished yogi such as Yagna, such as Gnaneshwara? How would the japa come? It won't be identical to our japa. So the japa comes in so many different ways, in so many different hierarchies, levels, calibers, calibrations. So just spare a thought on it. The japa is done for punya sarjana, to churn out merit. And then japa is done to delete and obliterate and efface the sins. So see how many, because that's also purpose in life for some of us. We want to collect virtue, particularly in spiritual path. We want to collect virtue and we want to mitigate vices. And then we want to even dispose of vices. If possible, we want to have deletion of vices. So that's how our spiritual path will be more smoothened. So the japa will come for both the purposes. You want to mitigate, delete, dispose of the heap of sins, japa is done. You want to collect virtues, collect merits, collect punya, japa will come. So for punya sarjana, it will come. For papa vinasha, papa vimochana, japa will come. Then there are so many observances in religious life which are called vratas, vrata vaikalyas. So as a part of vrata, for the sake of vrata, as an integral part of vrata, japa will again come. So see how it will be different mode of japa. As I told you now, when we were children, when we were afraid while walking through isolated areas at night, midnight, etc., the fear would naturally be there, and then we were told, say Ram, 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 and then we would be walking through. On the other hand, Ram, Ram, Ram japa can be done for punya sarjana. Ram, 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 Ram japa can be done for papa vimochana. Ram, Rama, 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 Rama can be done as prayashchitta japa. Ram, 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 Ram can be done for Jnana itself. One of the mystic saint has said, in very Ramanama, it is knowledge process. You churn Jnana out of Ramanama. So the same Nama will come even to give you the spiritual knowledge, spiritual wisdom, higher knowledge, highest knowledge. It can come from Nama. So for Jnana, Nama. To succeed in karma, karma sadhana, karma marga, karma yoga, Nama. To succeed in Jnana, Jnana marga, Jnana sadhana, Jnana yoga, Nama. For bhakti, bhakti sadhana, bhakti upasana, bhakti yoga, again Nama. When Nama comes, of course Japa comes. There is no Nama sadhana without Japa sadhana. So see how the Japa will come in variegated forms. Just try to stretch your imaginations. How the Japa might be coming. There are really n number of Japas. You can't really put number for the kinds of Japas. Because it depends upon so many purposes and so many hierarchies. So many purposes, so many hierarchies. Everywhere Japa mode will be changing. So, understand this aspect of Japa. Now, Japa is embraced in Yoga Marga, be that Jnana, Karma, Dhyana, Bhakti, or Mantra, Laya, Hatha, Raja, Rajadhiraja, Nama, Nada, any kind of yoga. There is full-fledged embrace to Japa. In Dharma Sadhana also Japa comes. Dharma Shastra also mentions Japa. Dharma Sadhana also mentions Japa. Dharma mentions Japa for Prayashchitta, atonement, expiation. Dharma mentions Japa for Papa Vinasha, Papa Vimochana, and also Punya Sarjana, as I just now told you. There are various kinds of vratas and vaikalyas mentioned by Dharma Shastra. So you are aware of this. Dharma Shastra mentions about very many vows, vratas, religious vows, religious observances. What is called vrata vaikalya. So the Japa will be quite a prominent component in vrata vaikalya. Pitru karma, deva karma, brahma karma, there is Japa. So Japa will come in so many forms, which now you can get basis for your imagination. As very well you know, Japa comes in yoga. So dharma, karma, upasana, yoga, the Japa will be coming in. So try to understand how the Japa will come in different forms, different outputs, different inputs, different processes. So this is a great principle given by Vaidika Dharma, Sanatana Dharma, the concept of Japa. Japa comes even in Arogya Shastra, health sciences of the lore. Mantra Shastra mentions Japa for health considerations. As I said last time, there are mantras to mitigate stomachache. There are mantras to mitigate headache. Get rid of stomachache, get rid of headaches, get rid of even sprains and catches. Mantra Shastra has mentioned this. So at any stage, if you look into Mantra Shastra, you will find these mantras. Mantras are mentioned there as to which mantra is for what purpose, for what clinical condition, to counter clinical pathological condition. Even there are mantras for epilepsy. There are mantras for any disorder in any organ: liver, stomach, colon, bladder, spleen, pancreas, intestines, duodenum, heart, lung. There are mantras given in Mantra Shastra. So it implies japa. When the mantra is given, there is a japa. So japa will come even as a health measure, as a pathy. So there can be something that can be called as japopathy. So just try to understand the enormous dimensions of japa. Anyway, we, for the sake of yoga, here we can have a classification of 18 kinds of japa. Usually we know only one kind of japa is to repeat. Go on repeating name, go on repeating mantra. We think that's the way the japa is. But there are 18 forms of japa which are very relevant in yoga dharma. So we will be trying to have a look at it, but that is for next time. Enough for the time being. Namaskar, all of you.